He tells her social security number and all her bank accounts had been compromised and everything was going to be shut down. So she was going to like no longer have a social security number or any money, which it's funny because this is clearly like, I mean, obviously if that was really going to happen to you, you would freak the fuck out, right?
Yeah. Well, I think she was.
She did.
Yeah.
Like she did. She acted as if this was happening and sort of had the panic reaction that one would if this was at all related even a little bit to reality. So she goes to the bank with the scammer on speakerphone in her pocket. You know he was like, you just got to keep me on the phone, like, you know, so I can make sure that nothing happens, or like I can say a secret CIA code word or whatever. And he also is like kind of like being like, you're doing such a good job, like I'm really proud of you, because the CIA guy tells her you need to take out $50,000 in cash because we're going to shut down all your bank accounts for money laundering, and you won't have any money to live off of for several years while this is investigated and like goes to trial and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You're just bullshitting her. And she's able to take out $50,000 with basically no problems. Mm-hmm. Like, I always was under the impression that if you try to take out a bunch of money at once, they like tried to had to like ask some cursory questions about scams or whatever.
Well, I guess they slip her a flyer about scams, and she says that like makes her kind of question what she's doing for a second, which then brings her to like kind of question the guy on the phone. But it's not enough to really like pierce through the kind of adrenaline that's rushing through her as with, you know, everything that's kind of led up to this moment. I do think that banks, I think they definitely profile you when you go to take out, if you're asking for, I would say probably more than like 10, 15K in cash.
Yeah.
But so, you know, a lot of times I think that they really like if elderly people come in and try to do that, they really will like kind of shut it down or try to attempt to intervene as much as they legally can and ask about scam stuff because it's so common. But usually if you like don't really fit the profile, which middle class, upper middle class, you know, New York media member, Brooklyn media member, probably like female mother, probably doesn't fit, you know, the typical like scam victim that a lot of bank tellers are seeing.
Yeah, exactly. And so like they don't really question it. You know, she does start questioning the CIA agent a little bit, and it's like, I need some kind of proof. And he texts her a picture of his badge. Now, they generally, you know, I can't say I've had a lot of contact with CIA agents, but I do know that generally if you work for CIA, you're like not really supposed to like be very open about it. And you definitely probably wouldn't be texting somebody who's under investigation by you a photo of your badge. But she seems to like, she's like wants to be, it's very clear she like wants to be mollified and like almost wants to believe this is happening.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that's very true.
Because I would assume that some part of her is like, well, I can't be being scammed, so this has to be real, but I like have to affirm that it's real.
Right, like how if you know, they always say that, you know, in order to be hypnotized, you have to be susceptible to hypnosis.
Exactly, yeah.
Which means there's a desire there that's being kind of fulfilled.
The CIA FTC liaison is like, listen, I need you to put this $50,000 in a shoebox. And I need you to write your name, and I think like the date and this locker number I'm going to read you out. And like put that on a label on the shoebox. And then I'm going to need you to hand that shoebox to my colleague who's an undercover CIA agent who's going to roll up in a van. And you just give him the shoebox. It's all good. And she's like, can I see his badge? She's like, this liaison is like, you fucking dumbass. He's an undercover CIA agent. He doesn't have a badge. And she's like, of course he doesn't. And then...
Oh, no.
That CIA agent was going to give her a government check.
Yeah, they were like, oh, the Treasury's going to cut you a check. We just need the cash. And she's like, that makes sense.
Totally.
And she's like leaving the house. And her husband's like, where are you going? And she's like, I got to see this guy about the identity theft. And he's like, what? And then she just leaves.
Yeah.
Oof.
And
scenes from a marriage.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. Is like she had like told her husband that something had happened, but was like very vague because she got freaked out by the warnings. And she hands the shoebox to this guy, and he just drives off.
Yeah.
the CIA agent on the phone tells her she'd need to stay. This is actually the most nefarious part. He's like, stay on the phone because we cancel your social security number, but we need to connect you to the social security office. I'm trying to make you an appointment, but just stay on the phone because I have to do it through that. And so like she goes and takes her kids trick or treating. Husband doesn't know the money's gone. Like nobody knows about this. And eventually she's like, what's up? Like, do I have a new social security number? And they're like, oh, the office is closed. Just call back tomorrow. And she like hangs up, and that's when it hits her. Like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Just having it recounted to me, it like really like I can like puts a lump in my throat. I get a little like choked up about this. It really upsets me.
Yeah. I mean, I can just like here's the thing. Like, I understand both that this woman is simple in some ways. Like this is you got taken by something that like you got caught slipping hard. But it's also like I can imagine the nauseous feeling that when you realize like reality sort of like hits you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean she describes it pretty I have to commend her for writing this because I think it takes a lot of fucking balls to come out and like write a fucking essay where you're like, I got scammed in this, as you're recounting it, like most like absurd and humiliating way. And she says in the essay, like, I was so afraid that this would, and I still am, like, have these ramifications on my career. I think those fears are pretty well founded.
I think so, too.
You know, it's, like, humiliating. And I really, like, I do have to say, like, it takes a lot of fucking balls, where it's a lot easier to keep that, like, and then this is the case for most people that get scammed, which, by the way, is a shit ton of people, as we're going to talk about, is to, like, keep it private, keep it hidden, not tell anybody, because it's so humiliating and embarrassing. So I do have to commend her for that.